Have you ever felt your own thoughts are keeping you trapped in a room that's way too small for you? We talked about outgrowing clothes, jobs, all habits, but what happens when you outgrow your own mind? And if you're tired of running emotional repeat, overthinking every scenario, and letting external circumstances decide how you feel inside, this video is for you. Today, we are diving into how to break free from story machine in your head and step into conscious awareness. Before we move on, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. How to outgrow your own mind, right? You can outgrow your own clothes. You can maybe outgrow your baby crib. You can outgrow some relationship when it's becoming just not enough space for you, when you feel a bit tight in the space and you need more. You have outgrown it, outgrown some friendships, outgrown your work situations, right? You just need more. It's becoming too boring. You're ready for more, but the space that you're in feels a bit tight and stagnated. So, how does it feel to outgrow your own mind? And if you look at that, when is it that in your own mind you feel a little bit tight and it's time to outgrow it? Usually it comes when you finally able to see your own mind. And I'm not saying how to outgrow you, because if you relate to the mind as you, it will be hard for you to outgrow it. But if you witness it from outside in, you know you have outgrown it. If you're wearing very tight clothes that no longer fit and you're not aware how uncomfortable you are, you're just in this very tight, stagnated place, you can continue being there very uncomfortable till finally they just tear apart. So if you relate that same way to your mind and see how certain behaviors, certain messages, certain way of looking at life making you feel just as uncomfortable as you are in those very tight clothes that you have outgrown it. If you're not aware, you will continue being uncomfortable in it till something cracks open. And when it cracks open, it can be good or bad. It can be extremely liberating, or it can be extremely terrifying. But if you witness from the outside in and noticing that the places where you're in your mind, are too tight, too uncomfortable, too repetitive, you can start witnessing what is really happening here. For instance, if you look at ages ago where people were put into slavery, and what did it take to liberate themselves from slavery? If they were in slavery for many generations, for some of them it meant this is just my life. I wake up in the morning, or I don't wake up in the morning, or I'm just doing 24/7, and I'm just enslaved to a certain situation. If a person is able to look from the outside in and witnessing whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, if it's working for him or not working for him, this is when all the wheels of thinking turning on and the awareness comes in, consciousness wakes up, and you can see, is there another way? This is actually working for me? Outgrowing your own mind can happen only after you have known your mind, after you have understood your mind, after you have witnessed your mind. You can start outgrowing it. Before that, it just feels very tight, uncomfortable place. Know your mind. So if you look at the situation of slavery, as I brought before, for people to liberate themselves from slavery, there need to be an awareness, I don't want to be a slave anymore. And then the steps of the thinking, what to do to liberate myself from slavery. That could have been many things before, maybe running away, maybe declaring a war, rebelling, fighting, all kinds of things. When you understand there is another way and that no longer working for me. If you look at the mind as your enemy, for instance, not that the mind is your enemy, but when you want to liberate yourself from the enemy, before you liberating yourself, you need to understand your enemy. You need to understand what kind of power they have over you. How can you overcome this power? How can you liberate yourself from that enemy? What is their weaknesses? What is their strength? It comes from a place of observation before just going into a battle and knowing what you're battling with, because that can take a long time. It also can create a collapse of the whole system if you're not ready to fight your enemy, or if you do not know your enemy, that's giving them the upper hand. So if you look at the mind, if you are not knowing your mind and just want to liberate yourself or just fight it without understanding what you're fighting, that's going to be a very long tug of war. Therefore, witnessing consciously and being present to your mind is crucial. That's where people or went to meditations of just so they can sit quietly and witness the mind. And in this witnessing of the mind, you could see the repetitive thoughts that been abusing you and dragging your emotions into places that feel extremely uncomfortable. Now, what does the mind does? We talked about it many times. Something happens in your life. What does the mind does? Storytelling, exactly. And when the mind tells a story, what happens next? You're paying attention to it. When you pay attention to it, what happens? Now you become the story. Now you go through who is right, who is wrong, what should be, what shouldn't be happening, and you're caught in your own story. When you had enough of the story, when it tormented you enough, when it tortured you enough, when you were frustrated enough with the story, that's when actually you're starting to ask the question, do I want to stay here? Is there another way? Running away from your mind and the stories of the mind going to be just chasing you. You can't run away from it. It's like, can you run away from your heart? Can you run away from your lungs? So you cannot run away from your story as well, because it's like the mind will always come and chase you. But when you come from a place of witnessing the mind and understanding the story, why is my mind building stories around those situations? And the answer is always the same, because you're paying attention. And why are we paying attention to the stories? You already know the answer, because we used to. We used to see a situation, create a story, be in it, and really allow our imagination to go wild, drag our emotions. And that's what the mind does regarding any situation, any circumstances, whether it's the news about politics and everything that happened or didn't happen, things that you have influence over or things that you do not have influence over. You'll be watching the news, and what is the mind going to be doing? Creating more stories, bringing your attention. And you are there to outgrow your mind. And this situation, when you're listening to some disturbing news, it's witnessing. I just saw the news for maybe a few minutes or a few seconds, and my mind is talking about it already for a few days. And this is basically how news being created for people to engage, for people to get their attention in. Now, you might say something, I want to know what's happening in the world. Know what's happening in the world. There's nothing wrong with not knowing what's happening in the world. Where you're tormenting yourself is when you are starting to create stories, when you're recycling the messages, that's when it's affecting you. And you might say, yes, but this is so bad or this is so good. And all the evidence where it's the end of the world. It maybe is. But whether you're going to torment yourself with stories about it or not going to torment yourself with stories about it, the outcome would be still the same. Do you understand what's happening here? The mind becomes active in every situation that happens and just drags your attention into any circumstances that have appeared already. Once your attention is there, you becoming the mind. You starting to negotiate with the mind. You starting to witness and be there and being stuck in the same place. This is just the new situation. But what if it's just or social situation, right? Same thing applying to your relationship. Somebody said something, and I mean any relationship with your beloved, with your parents, your children, at work, any human relationship that have appeared, and somebody or somewhere have affected you a certain way, hurt you, said something very hurtful. Whatever they said in this hurtful moment, it lasted just with a few words or a short conversation or long conversation, whatever it means. But once you're walking away from the circumstances and from this conversation, pay attention what the mind does. It's continuing digesting the stories, and you are stuck in the situation by listening to every story that the mind creates around what you just heard. To outgrow that, it's first of all to be aware that you're becoming a slave to the stories and the words that the mind is throwing you. And you might say, but Renata, does that mean we should be just like zombies, feel nothing, and just be like robots in our life? Of course not. But don't be slaves to your mind. You're creating your own ocean and emotion without a life jacket and drowning in it. That's what the mind does. And once you're in the ocean of emotion or ocean of verbal words that are just coming, or it can be anger, it can be disappointment, it can be also feelings of excitement about something. For instance, you going away somewhere and you are so excited, the mind digesting it so fast and so accurately where you cannot even fall asleep at night because you're thinking tomorrow I'm going away, or some good friend coming, or something happening the next day. The mind going to be also into this big ocean of emotion that is elevated, keeping you uplifted. And you're saying, why cannot fall asleep? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The thoughts keep circulating in your mind. The pictures is coming into your awareness and you cannot sleep. You see, this is where the mind is in control, not you are. Whether the situation is extremely uplifting or extremely discouraging. So, the life mastery or the conscious life navigation mastery is something that I'm working with you one on one a lot, is about noticing the pattern of the mind and witnessing what is your mind. How does it behave? How does it behave towards your external life? Most of us are programmed backwards. We're looking at external life and asking ourselves, how does it affect us? That's making you a victim of the circumstances. That's exactly what the mind wants you to do. Look at the circumstances of your external life and see what is good and bad in it. So the external life is responsible for your internal stage of being. And that's where the mind just enjoys itself and throwing a party of thoughts, emotions, and you caught in it. When the external life dictates how you feel inside. Now, to liberate yourself from that, it's getting to know your mind. Asking some very good questions like, how am I feeling here? Why is it happening? Why am I choosing this situation? Why am I choosing to feel that way in this situation? What stories is my mind telling me? Why am I telling myself those stories? Why am I engaged with the stories? What are the benefits of creating those stories? And there's always benefits that keeping you trapped, small, and enslaved to your mind. The mind is very interested to keep you working for it with your emotions and with your distracted thinking, right? Because when the thinking is elevated and moving in fast speed, the mind is engaged and it's alive, it's got you, right? And you have to understand thinking is very good, but practical thinking, how to do this, how not to do that, thinking about life, what making me happy, what not making me happy, planning your trip, enjoying the present moment, staying there. This is thinking. This is what the mind is here for. How to tie your shoes, how to brush your teeth, how to create an awesome artwork or cook for yourself something. This is all mind activities. But if you, for instance, tying your shoes and your mind creates stories about it, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? How it should be, how it will come out, how it will not come out? That's distracting thinking, and the mind here really not serving you. And it's important to know, if you take a situation of work or relationship when something did not work for you, or something said something to offend you, and your mind grabbing your attention and creating stories around it, they liked you, they didn't like you, why they did, why they didn't. It's all about the external life controlling your internal being. The question here needs to come very loud and very clear. Stop, breathe, and ask, why am I choosing this? External circumstances should never control your internal being. That's where you lose the battle, if you allow the external circumstances to control your internal being. It's kind of liberating yourself from your mind, liberating yourself from slavery, outgrowing those tight places, those tight pants or clothes that make you feel so uncomfortable in it because you outgrown them. You're realizing it's too small for me to stay worried in that bubble. It's time for me to spread my wings and let go of this very tiny, squeaky cocoon. That's when you know you're ready. That's when you know you're done. That's when you're really ready to move on. So, how to outgrow your mind? I'm going to go back again and again, only through witnessing, only through conscious awareness. It's when you start asking honest questions. Why am I choosing it? And in the beginning, the questions might come up too often, and it might be very hard to rebel or to resist it because you are in your habitual mind. The mind knows it's in charge. The mind knows what hurts you, and the mind knows what doesn't hurt you. So the mind knows exactly what story to pull in to get your attention. The mind is this programmed machine, this information that you've been collecting all your lifetime. You've been reacting a certain way to certain circumstances in a certain way. And now you're liberating yourself from that. The liberation can be painful. Be prepared, because now you're taking full responsibility for everything that happens to you by one simple question. Why am I choosing it? What's in it for me? And you might say, what's in it for me in suffering? A lot. Because in suffering, you become the smaller piece of the puzzle. And there's something that's bigger that makes you suffer. And if there's something bigger and something smaller, then you become overwhelmed and say, I will never get out of here. It's so much more comfortable to say small and invisible than fight these big demons of thoughts and messages that destroy me. Growing yourself and outgrowing from the habitual mind takes practice, take time, take conscious present and awareness. It's not easy, and it's not done over one day. It's a lifetime practice of conscious presence, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. And you might say, oh, Renata, is it possible? But it is so hard. Yes, it is. But staying in the victim mode is also very hard, and letting the mind be stronger than your consciousness. It's you needing to kind of step over from the mind into the consciousness, liberating yourself from the mind into the consciousness through awareness. I'm aware there is another way of being. I'm aware there's freedom of thought and torture, of self-torture, self-abuse, self-sabotage. When you're releasing yourself from the mind, you're letting go of all the self-sabotage. You're letting go of all those negative messages, but only from witnessing how is the mind programmed, where is it getting your attention, where is it keeping you stuck, what messages your mind repeating that keeping you small, what are you being dragged back to? And it's easy. Once you're going to start witnessing the thought pattern, you'll be recognizing it more and more. Every time it's going to get easier and easier, but only through practice, only through awareness. The liberation of the mind happens only through knowing yourself. Know thyself. To know yourself, it only means to go through the steps of your whole being from birth to now. Maybe even before birth, maybe looking at your ancestral and witnessing what a repetitive behavior that is still here with me, that my mother did, that my father did, that my grandparents did. What are the repetitive behaviors that are still here? And you're going to see that there's also this genetic disposition of the mind. For instance, maybe you came from a family where there were lots of warriors, like people who worry all the time, people who live with anxiety and fear. And every family has those because we lived in lots of fear for a very long time. So it's in our genes right now. Our genetic material is disposition to fear and anxiety and moving forward. But if you're aware, this is my program that I have inherited from my parents and from my ancestors, now you can see that this is just habitual mind. It's a habit to worry, and it's a habit of fear. It's a habit of always looking out for safety. In that situation, how do you make your mind feel safe when you've been in fear and anxiety for all of your life? It's by start witnessing that every time the mind feels unsafe, whether it's real danger or made out danger, the mind creates stories around of what might happen or might not happen. And you are dragging your attention into it and paying attention to every thought of fear and anxiety. You're becoming it. You're becoming the fear and anxiety. You're becoming helpless, and the mind takes over. Once you're aware of fear, anxieties, of things that might happen or might not happen, the next step is creating new messages and see, is it real? Is it made out? Looking at your life, how much time before you have lived in this fear and anxiety of stories that have not happened, but the mind still kept you small and stuck. What is realistic? What is not realistic? You might need some help to get a grip on what's happening in your reality. Is it too futuristic? The fear of things that have not happened, the mind just keeping you stuck in there. The liberation from that is calming the mind through affirmation, meditation, nature. You have to know what calms your mind, what makes you peaceful, what makes you present. And there are things and moments when you feel more in peace and more present. So when you're witnessing the mind, or when you revisit your past experiences, I'm not saying being stuck in your past experiencing, but witnessing. Witnessing, that means it's neither good or bad. You're just witnessing the pattern of your past experiencing. That's when you start learning about your mind. Most people, when there's past experiences that happen, either they completely block it, they want to run away because they feel unpleasant in them. They haven't resolved anything, but just running away from the mind and its stories till the next experience happens and it repeats itself. Because the mind already have an imprinted message how to behave in that situation. Since it wasn't resolved, you will continue creating same circumstances, running away and coming back to the same situation. And some of us, when certain circumstances have happened, the mind gets stuck in there and digesting the story for a really long time, just staying with it and repeating it again, again, and again. And the correct story, why should they, why shouldn't I should have, the world is unfair, it shouldn't have happened. And then when you're sharing it with other people, you also look for your cheerleader to tell you how right you are and whatever was done to you is not fair, and you're looking for this cheerleading group of misery and everybody repeating, yes, that wasn't nice, poor you, why did it happen? And the more you hear of it, the more you want to tell the story, because all the cheerleader telling you that it's okay to be a victim of the circumstances because they were bad and you're good. And most of the stories when we're telling, we do want to kind of uplift ourselves and say, how good we were and how unfair the world is to us. Because each one of us wants to hear that, yeah, we're perfect and that we have done nothing wrong. So if we are so perfect and we have done nothing wrong, it's a great message for the mind when then the world is wrong. The world hasn't been fair to you. The people in your life have not been fair to you. And you're the one who was so great and amazing, and everybody were just so wrong and mistreating you. That's a perfect situation for the mind to bring more evidence how amazing you are and how the rest of the world is not. You're going to be seeing those evidence all the time and feeling good again about yourself. But I was so right, and they were so wrong, and that wasn't fair, and that wasn't right. And every time you're uplifting yourself and saying how much I was right and they were wrong, the mind going to bring you more evidence of that. The world is not fair. Now you're caught in your own story, in your own storm, and your attention going towards the mind and towards the circumstances that have happened, instead of asking yourself, why did I choose that? What stories is my mind telling me? Why have I choose something that will harm me? Why am I choosing continue telling me stories that are harming me? What have I learned from here? How can I move on from here? What the situation have taught me? Now, in this scenario, you actually starting to Outgrow your mind because now you're understanding it. You're no longer in the scenario and in your external life. You asking questions about you. How do you relate to this external life? Why am I choosing it? What is it here to teach me? How am I moving forward from here? Now the mind cannot throw stories any longer. It becomes quieter because you're paying attention and you know that you have a choice and you're growing and starting to outgrow your own mind just by witnessing and asking the right questions. But be aware, for many generations, we have not asked the right questions. We were small, we were tiny, we were victimized, we were the slaves of our mind. And outgrowing it was unheard of. It's like if you look back hundreds of years ago, could you outgrow your parents, the one that told you what to do, the one that raised you and know what's safe for you and what's not safe for you and what should be your next step? You trusted your parents because each step they have paved the way for you. They are the one who told you what you should be, what you shouldn't be, where you should go, where you shouldn't go. They're the one who created a set of rules. But in this teen moment, you're starting to outgrow your parents and you're asking the questions. Do I really want to live by those rules? Is there another way? The teenager outgrowing their parents, the parents becoming this tight wear, this tight pants that you need to rip apart and just grow and become your own. And it's painful because the parents are slightly bigger than you and they know you for your whole life. They actually programmed you and they know exactly how you work. And this is how the mind is. The mind, it's like the parent that run your life for a really long time. It knows exactly how you work. It knows exactly how to get your attention. It knows exactly how to keep you small. It knows exactly how to create fear and anxiety because it knows what you react to. But when you're outgrowing your mind and you become this teenager, that's when you want to have the freedom from those thoughts, from the fear, from being small, from being a victim. This is the time when you want to grow into your own skin, when you want to live your own life. You want to create your own rules, not the rules of the mind that have been passed from generation to generation. Stay small, be good, be nice, don't go there, don't do that, don't say that. You see, this is the past that kept you small. But it's well programmed and lubricated and will repeat it for so many generations that it feels like home, that it feels normal, it feels natural, it feels comfortable until you start seeing and feeling this place is too tight and too small. I need to grow bigger, stronger, smarter. And that's when the journey starts. This is very powerful information. Outgrowing your own mind. And it's a journey that used to take really long time. People used to abandon their life, the families, they saved in the caves in meditation. They went to isolated places, lived in forests or places where there are no people. So nobody from the outside can come and disturb them. And all they did, they were just sitting and calming their mind. And one of the stories that were told to me, it's when somebody will come to their teacher, to their guru, and say, I'm enlightened, because they sat in the quiet and isolation without no outside circumstances, and they will feel this peace of the mind, this peace of serenity. And the guru will say, you really think you're enlightened? Do you really think you found your peace? Go visit your family. Go back, visit your friends. And if you still feel in that peace and bliss, that possibly you're enlightened. So what it teaches you is that it's really not necessary to run away from the outside circumstances. Maybe it's even running towards outside circumstances and find your peace and bliss in the circumstances, in the life circumstances, around the people that pressing your buttons, around the news that affecting you, around the job that you're uncomfortable in. Those are excellent places to witness your mind and see what programs it's run and how old are those programs. How old and how long you've been thinking and feeling, this is not working for me. I don't like it. It's too tight. And what stories you've been repeating to yourself with no action. The action can be taken after you have known your mind, because now you know what action to take. You know what works and what doesn't. If you go too fast, and we talked about it last session, when you go from point A to Z too fast, you put the system in shock. But if you observe and learn and witness your mind, that's when you can start taking the necessary steps not to fall into the trap again. So, to outgrow your mind, it means conscious witnessing all the time. There's no breaks here, even when you're sleeping. Because if you woke up and you had a nightmare or unpleasant dream, it means you were not present. The mind took over while you were sleeping. And a lot of the conscious people or conscious teachers talking about conscious sleeping. Can I be aware of my mind and my thoughts even when I'm sleeping? This is maybe a little bit too much, because we're learning how to be conscious in our waking life. And here I'm talking about how to be conscious and aware in my sleeping life, right? It might be too much, absolutely, right? But these are just the next steps once you learn your mind, when you learned how to observe it, and when you outgrown your mind. What are the benefits of outgrowing your mind? The benefits of outgrowing your own mind, it's having more realistic life. And what I mean by realistic life, if you live in the stories of your mind, you're really not living a realistic life. You're just living in the stories of your mind. Because the mind decorates everything. It needs to expand it. It needs to put more information. And a lot of it might be not real. So once you learn to observe your mind, and the mind no longer your master, but your servant, now it starts working for you. The mind becomes your servant when you step into consciousness, when you become into conscious awareness and presence. If the servant, for some reason, starting to take over the master needs to be aware, because you're losing your power. Because if the fear, the anxiety that are not realistic, not actions, if you see there's a danger and you know you need to take yourself to safety, this is an awareness. You've been aware there is a danger and you're taking yourself into safety. If you're aware there is danger and you're creating stories about this danger and fear around this danger, this is when the mind from your servant become your master, and it's creating more stories about it. Any circumstances, if anybody offended you in any way, and you're asking yourself the right question, how did I create it? And what have I learned from that? You're conscious present. You're aware of your feelings, emotion. You're asking the right question. If somebody have offended you in any way and your mind becomes not your servant, but your master, the mind will start why they should, why they shouldn't. There'll be lots of tears, lots of pain, lots of argument with yourself. You lost the battle. The mind becomes your master. You see how it works? Outgrowing your own mind. It's always being present to the messages that are circulating through you day in and day out. Any other shortcuts? I'm not aware of. If there is some, let me know. I'm curious to know. Is there another way? So that was so much information. I hope not overwhelmed you with that. A lot of it might be repetitive to you, but if you listen to it many times, you will see that even in that repetition, you'll find something new. There is always something new because the mind doesn't want you to learn anything new about it, especially if you're going to move it from being your master into being your servant. The mind is not interested in you being its master, your consciousness being a master. Therefore, the mind will continue keeping you small and its servant. So, in the listening to this recording several times, the mind might block out a lot. Therefore, I encourage you to listen to it more than once. And like I say, what works for me, it's when you're doing something and then you actually can be more present. Because I know a lot of you do say you fall asleep. It's one way to keep you up by listening to this recording when you're walking or when you're doing something. If you're driving, fine, but not when you are meditating, because we are going to move into meditation now. All right, excellent. Great work, guys. We're moving into our next step, into meditation. And I just delivered information about the mind and about the consciousness and how to break the slavery of the mind, how to outgrow your mind and become conscious navigator of your life. Information and practice are two different things. We're moving into meditation now, and I encourage you very highly to listen to this meditation several times. Because in this meditation, the mind gets the practice, that hands-on experience on how to be a servant and how to be safe in feeling the servant. Okay. Because even letting go of the position of the master might be very scary. It's scary for the mind to let go of the position being the master. So if you need a bathroom break, now it's a good time. Otherwise, put it on pause if you need to, and we're going to prepare for our meditation. First, I'll show you the guidance, how to do it, and then we'll be stepping into the meditation. I'll be guiding you through two meditations. One going to be sitting up, the other going to be lying down. The best way is to prepare an area where you can sit up comfortably and lie down comfortably. Best, yoga mat. If you're uncomfortable lying down on the floor on your yoga mat, the next best thing is whatever's there, the couch, the bed. But make yourself comfortable. Get a few pillows and a blanket, whether you're on the floor or on the couch or bed. So the first meditation going to be seated. And the way we go through that, we put our fingers together. All 5 fingers are touching, bringing it upside down, pulling it down, all the way down into our lower belly, down into our thighs. The palms of your hands are open and fingertips are touching. The meditation is in through your nose, out through your nose. As we inhaling, the belly will expand, exhaling, the belly contract, and it goes like that. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly contracts. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly contracts. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly contracts. Very good. That will be our first meditation. Inhaling and exhaling as the belly expands and contracts. I'll be guiding you through the meditation the whole time, just listening to my voice. The next meditation, I'm going to be lying down, but we'll practice it right now. Sit it up just for a minute or two so you get the hang of it. This meditation called holotropic breath. You are welcome to Google holotropic breath, Stanislav Groth. It will give you more information on this breath. The meditation and the breath are through your nose. So sit up for now. When you be moving into second meditation, you will be lying down. But right now, just stay seated. And the meditation goes like that. You're opening your mouth and you're breathing into your heart. Inhale, exhale. Inhaling through your mouth, exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling into your heart, exhaling out of your mouth. Inhaling through your mouth into your heart, exhaling through your heart out of your mouth. The chest is active here. Inhaling and exhaling into your chest, out of your mouth, into your heart, out of your mouth. Very good. Now we're going to move into our first meditation. And we're going to be sitting up, feet are straight on the floor, hands touching together. Bring them upside down, all the way down, down, down. In between your thighs, holding your lower belly, closing your eyes. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Inhaling, belly expanding. Exhaling, belly contracting. Inhaling, belly expanding. Exhaling, belly contracting. Inhaling, belly expanding. Exhaling, belly contracting. Inhale, belly expands. Exhales, belly contract. Continue with the breath. Continue with the rhythm of inhaling and exhaling. Now start feeling the surface that you're sitting on. Whether it's a chair, sofa, cushion. Feel what supports your body as you're inhaling and exhaling. And start allowing yourself to relax into the space. Relax into what supports you. Feeling your sit bones melting into the surface that supports you. Feeling your legs and your feet melting into the surface that supports you. Your right leg and your left leg completely relax. Your right hip and your left hip completely relax. Feeling your tailbone and your whole spine. See if you can relax your tailbone and your whole spine. Now relax your rib cage. Relax your right arm and your left arm. Relax your neck and your throat. Relax the back of your head and the front. Relax your forehead, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. Relax your neck and your throat. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your spine, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet. Inhale and exhale and relax even more. Bring your attention to your tailbone and your crown. Feel the energy that runs between your tailbone and your crown. Visualize there is a pool of energy that runs between your tailbone and your crown. Give it color. Give it frequency. Give it shape. And feel this pool of energy energizing your whole spine, your whole body. Now imagine from your tailbone, you're grounding this pool of energy down, down, down into Mother Earth, into the center of Mother Earth. On the next exhale, you're extending and expanding this pool of energy up, up, up into the Father Sky, into the universe. Feel yourself connected above and below, grounded and present on earth, guided by the universe. Inhaling and exhaling and relax even more. Be aware of your physical body in this pool of energy that between earth and universe. Be aware of your emotional body between earth and universe. Be aware of your mental body between earth and universe. Be aware of your memory body, everything that you ever known about yourself, about your past life, present life, and future life between your earth and the universe. Be aware of the higher self, the witness, the conscious that is between earth and the universe. Be present, be conscious, be aware. Witness. Witness yourself in this pool of energy that is between earth and universe. Witnessing your own being, your own presence. Witnessing your own life. Witnessing your emotions, your thoughts, your body. Noticing the one that is living this life, the one that is building memories of this life, the one that imprinting its footprints in this life. Allow yourself to witness yourself in the past year of your life. And just go back and remember yourself from last summer till now. And just notice what events have happened in your life. What circumstances have you experienced? Just allow your mind to go back into this memory lane. You can check in with your health, what circumstances you have experienced. Maybe your relationships, what kind of circumstances you have experienced. Maybe your work, your finances, what circumstances you have experienced. And witness the external life. What have happened in the past year? In your relationship, in your health and your finances? What have you experienced? And just start witnessing the circumstances that you have lived through and the stories that the mind have told you about it and the emotions that have been created around it. Whatever the circumstances are, whatever the situation is, just witness how your mind created stories, whether it's health, relationship, or finances. The mind picks a story, picks circumstances, and just tells its tale till you're completely engaged. But now just witness. Do not engage with your emotions. Do not engage with extra thoughts or outcomes. Just witness this year. Just witness the circumstances that you have experienced this year without good or bad. Just breathing into them and witnessing and asking the right questions. How did I create it? Why have I created it? What am I learning here? What is the lesson? Why am I choosing it? Why have I chose myself to tell stories about the circumstances? What was convenient about telling myself the stories about the circumstances? What is the convenience about believing the stories that I've been telling myself about the circumstances that I have experienced, whether it's your relationship, health, or finances? Breathe and witness. Witness your mind from conscious presence. Be with that. Experience that. Feel safe with that. You are safe when you're just witnessing. You are learning. You are liberating yourself from your mind. You are outgrowing your mind when you're witnessing it. You no longer need to stay small and enslaved to your mind. You can start teaching your mind. How do you choose to feel right now about the circumstances? You can say, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the experience. Because of these circumstances, I have learned about myself this or that. Really appreciate the experience that you have had without the labeling of good or bad. It is just experience and your thoughts about it. Inhaling and exhaling. And as you're staying here, you might want to take another situation that's been dragging your attention, or the mind milking you with the stories. Allow yourself to revisit it, maybe somewhere in your lifetime. Maybe it happened a long time ago, maybe recently. Something that's still circulating in your mind. Just do the same thing. Witness it. Allow yourself to be in it. Allow yourself to relax in it. Allow yourself to witness the stories of the mind about it. Asking yourself all the right questions. Why am I choosing this? What am I here to learn? How is it serving me to be the servant of the mind and not the master of my life? What would it take to become the master, not the servant of the circumstances and the mind? ask some damn honest questions. Inhaling and exhaling. Then ask yourself, what do I choose now? What do I choose now that I see in the pattern, that I see in the trap? What do I choose now? And allow yourself to visualize this new way of being, another way of living, another thought, another present that is different than when it was before. And be grateful that you had the opportunity to look at that through another lens and see a whole new world when you're not a servant, when you're the master, when you have outgrown your mind and not longer become its servant. Inhaling and exhaling. That's how you liberate yourself from your mind, not running away from it, but diving into it and witnessing and asking some damn honest questions. Why am I choosing it? What's in it for me here? What is the lesson? And what is my next step? Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Slowly and gently coming back to today and now. Move very gently at this moment and slowly bring yourself to horizontal, to lying down. Allow yourself to find the space, the surface, as you're stretching yourself on the floor or on the bed. Putting a pillow where necessary, maybe under your head, maybe under your legs. Just reminding you the best way is straight on the floor, on your mat, on your yoga mat. Unless you're uncomfortable, then use the pillows. And do use a blanket either way, because the body will get cold. It's probably already dropping in temperature. And as you stretch yourself on the floor, hands beside you, legs are straight uncrossed. Opening your mouth and bringing the breath into your heart. Breathing with mouth open into your heart, out of your mouth. 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 And relax even more. Into your heart, out of your mouth. Into your heart, out of your mouth. Mouth is open. Body relax. Allow the surface to support you as you're keeping your mouth open, breathing in and out, and relax even more. Stay present, stand conscious, and keep breathing. Asking yourself, what would my mind will be like if it was my servant? What would my life would look like if my mind worked for me? What would it take to have my mind working for me? How do I outgrow the slavery of my mind and become the conscious navigator of my life? And with those questions, keep breathing and going deeper and deeper, searching for the true answers that are buried under the noise of the mind, into your heart, out of your mouth, into your heart, out of your mind, into your heart, out of your mouth. Keep breathing and asking and witnessing. Am I committed to outgrow my mind? Am I truly committed to liberate myself from the thought pattern, from the slavery of the mind? Am I committed to break the ancestral rules? Am I committed to give myself permission to do something different? Am I committed to freedom? And if so, what would freedom of the mind would look like? And allow yourself to continue breathing and witnessing. What will freedom of the mind would look like? Who would you be? What would you do? How it would be different? What would you no longer be afraid of? What would you no longer let hold you back? What would you no longer let go of? Breathing into your heart, out of your mouth, staying present and conscious. What would it take to outgrow your mind? Who would you be if you are the master of your life? Into your heart, out of your mouth. What would your life would look like? And what steps do I need to take to get there? Into your heart, out of your mouth. Into your heart, out of your mouth. And the most honest question, am I committed? Am I truly committed to liberate myself from my mind? Am I truly committed to outgrow your mind? Am I truly committed to outgrow my mind? Am I committed to stay conscious and present? Am I committed to be the master of my life? I am present. I am here. I am now. I am present. I am here. I am now. I am a conscious navigator of my life. I am present. I am here. I am now. I am conscious navigator of my life. I choose my experiences and I choose my reaction to the experiences of life. I'm a conscious navigator of my life. Into your heart, out of your mouth. Into your heart, out of your mouth. Into your heart, out of your mouth. A few more breaths in and a few more breaths out. Inhaling and exhaling. Slowly and gently, still coming back to today and now, to the present moment. Feeling the surface that you're lying down on. Closing your mouth, moving your feet, your fingertips, bringing your awareness back to your commitment to be the witness, to be the conscious navigator of your life. Be bending your knees, bringing your knees into your belly and moving them side to side, possibly turning on your right or on your left side. And if it feels right, you can move yourself to a child pose or slowly and gently coming back to seated, coming back to presence. Very, very good, guys. So what would it take to outgrow your mind? What would it take to be conscious navigator of your life? And what would it take not to let the outside circumstances to influence your internal being? And that's a journey. That's practice. That's everyday awareness. You're either in your mind or you're in your conscious presence. When you are in your mind, it feels tight, it feels unpleasant. When you are in your conscious presence, you're relaxed, you're present, you know what the next move, and you act on it. That consciousness. When the mind is your master, not your servant, it will keep you small, it will repeat the same story. You will be in the hamster wheel. You will be helpless. When you had enough of it, you will find another way. You will find how to be conscious, how to be present, how to be the witness of your life. Outgrowing your own mind isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Asking yourself, why am I choosing this? If this video gave you a light bulb moment today, hit the like button, subscribe to join the growing community of conscious thinker. Drop a comment below and tell me what one story your mind tells you that you're ready to let go. Don't forget to check the description box for more links, and don't forget to book your one-on-one introductory call. Until next time, stay present and keep growing.